my name is Milan Parivodić, and I'm a mining lawyer practicing in Belgrade, Serbia. I also coordinate a group of law firms in the region, and we can provide services to the entire region in terms of mining exploration and mining licensing. I will be talking today about mining exploration in Serbia. Particularly talking about the law and the government policies which the Serbian government entertains towards exploration and mining. It's very interesting, actually, that Serbia has become relatively a hub in Eastern Europe regarding development of mining projects, particularly in the exploration stage. At this moment, there are about 140 active fields, of which 103 exploration fields are in the field are for exploration of metals. There are over 70 companies exploring in Serbia, of which 30 foreign companies, some of which are some of the largest majors of the major mining companies. The annual exploration budgets have increased dramatically from only 24 million of annual exploration budgets in 2012 to over 100 million in 2018 and 2019. And last year, mining development, not exploration, but mining developments amounted to over €500 million. And in 2020, they should be even bigger as we are nearing the commissioning of the Zijin mine. How do investors actually see Serbia? Serbia is perceived, first of all, as quite a mineral resources rich country with an abundance of copper, gold, zinc, lead, lithium, and borates, and some other ores as well. Then the Serbian government has proven in the last over 20 years, actually, that it is very supportive of foreign investment in the country. And then in 2015, Serbia has passed a new mining law, which is perceived to be probably the best mining law in the region. I have personally contributed to some important parts of it. Then Serbia has an old tradition in mining. There have not been problems with the social license to operate, as there is active mining in the region for over 115 years. The people are knowledgeable, both engineers in terms of geological and mining engineers, but also the labor skilled force, the miners themselves, are knowledgeable about mining, and you have very qualified drillers and all other kinds of contractors who you may contract to give you local services at competitive prices. Typically, the deposits which are found are near infrastructure, so you have roads, sometimes even rivers, railroads, close to your project, which is unlike to many places around the world where you have to build completely new infrastructure to deliver deposits for any kind of transportation. Also, the power in Serbia is very cost effective, and this is something that adds to the economic equation. One very important thing is that the royalties in Serbia are quite low. For example, the royalty for metals is 5% net smelter value, which is quite competitive compared to countries also in this part of the world. Definitely, the Serbian government, as I said already, has proven itself as being open and helpful and conducive to mining, to exploration and mining. And the Serbian government is well aware that the times of state mining have passed, and it has showed actually the world this commitment to attracting international mining investors by the new law of 2015, which has given clear security of tenure to the mining investors. The government is aware that in order to get discoveries, in order to get new mines financed and commissioned, that those mines are properly run and properly equipped with state-of-the-art equipment, and that safety and environmental requirements are met, they really need foreign investors. And therefore, really, Serbia is very open to foreign investors. And this is my personal experience in serving foreign investor exploration and mining companies, that they never really entertained, never had a serious problem at all in Serbia. On the contrary, they were supported by the government. And this, I would say, partnership, which is developing between the investors and the Serbian state, Serbian government, is definitely giving results, in the sense that there were two really major world-class discoveries made. One is Čukaru Peki, a copper and gold discovery, which was made by Freeport-McMoRan in 2012, and which is now being developed by Zijin, and which shall become an operating mine in 2021, delivering the first production of copper and gold. And the Jadar, a discovery of lithium and borates by Rio Tinto, which is being also discovered, which was discovered and developed by Rio Tinto. How would I advise you to enter the Serbian market? You need to find a good lawyer and a good geologist. That is essential. Then we can open a company for you in Serbia, which is a very simple, short procedure which lasts a few days once we receive the proper documentation from the home country. You need to employ in that newly established company a qualified Serbian geologist, and to look for prospective exploration fields. You need to check the availability of the fields informally and also formally with the Ministry of Mining to get their confirmation that a field is actually free, and then you can fully apply for it. So the procedure goes basically that you ask first whether a field is free. If you get a positive answer, then to the already filed application, you just add the documentation in the terms of adding an exploration design and some other formal documentation. But your priority is actually obtained at the moment of the first filing, when you are checking the availability of an exploration field. How can you get an exploration permit in Serbia? You can, of course, apply for a new permit in the procedure that I have just described, or you can buy a Serbian company which already has an exploration permit, or you can buy the permit itself by transfer of the permit from a company which owns such an exploration permit to your company. Then exploration starts. This exploration lasts for about 8 years, with 3 years and 3 years, and then another 2 years. That are the statutory extensions, 3 + 3 + 2. And within that period of time, you have to complete at least 70%, 75% of the planned exploration works according to the design that you have submitted to the Ministry of Mining, and based on which your exploration permit was issued. You have to deliver annual reports, exploration reports, and at the end of the exploration term, when you decide to finish, or when the term expires, you need to deliver a final report, and if you have good results, a study of geological reserves, which once when that study proves that you have reserves, that you have a discovery, then the state gives you a certificate of reserves. A certificate of reserves is actually a document which says that the state has recognized your discovery, that you have a discovery of reserves, which means that they're economically viable, and that you have security of tenure based on that certificate of reserves to obtain an exploitation permit. So that is generally the process from the moment when you start inquiring about Serbia until the moment when you have tenure to apply for an exploitation permit and start developing a mine, basically. The procedure here, you can see on this presentation that actually I was showing the development of a detailed plan of geological exploration. Then you get an approval for geological exploration. At the end of the stage of exploration, you get a certificate of resources and reserves, and then you applied for an exploitation field permit. Once when you get an exploitation field permit, you are developing a mine design, and with that mine design and a feasibility study, you are getting a mine building permit. Once when you have a mine building permit, you are permitted to start building a mine, and once when you build it, you get a commissioning of the mine in the form of a decision which is called approval for use of mining facilities. This main procedure according to the mining law. Of course, there are other procedures like environmental impact approval, the approval of the environmental impact study, water permits, spatial planning permitting, buying land and conversion of that land into construction land, buying forestry land, also converting into construction land. So there are other ancillary procedures, but everything is doable, and we know how to do it and have done it before. Of course, apart from mining law and the typical other permitting issues, you have to buy land, you have to get the ancillary permitting, as I was already describing. The question of fiscal stability and statutory stability is something that we would like to work with you on also, in terms of maybe negotiating with the government a special investment agreement for a important development, mining development. There is a possibility that the government will accept signing a stability agreement and stabilizing your fiscal duties in a period, for example, of 10 to 15 years. There are other guarantees which Serbia gives to the investors, and those guarantees relate to the freedom to import, export machinery, freedom to employ foreign persons, of course, foreign exchange, and you're protected by bilateral investment treaties. And this is something that we would need definitely to discuss, which would be the home country from which you would invest into Serbia, so as to have a good bilateral investment treaty signed between Serbia and that home country, affording you good protection, particularly in terms of an exit clause in case that there is any problem, basically a major problem with the state of Serbia, which our job is to prevent to happen. I will tell you now, after this discussion about how to work in Serbia, I'll tell you what we do as a law firm. We advise you which home country to choose, basically, as the home of your investment into Serbia, exactly because of the bilateral investment treaty protection which you need and which is important to have. Then we can set up your corporate presence in Serbia either as a simple limited liability company, or basically establishing a joint venture, or maybe through some merger and acquisition, of an existing company. We can provide you, and we do that very successfully, government affairs advice in terms of establishing good contacts to the Ministry of Mining and other ministries, in general, the whole government, discussions and productive relations, partnership relations with local governments, and also developing relations with publicly owned companies. We do this with utmost integrity, and definitely everything is done in a very formal and transparent manner, and very successfully. For many years back, we develop good government affairs for our clients. We are working with you on permitting in terms of exploration and mining permitting, and all other related permitting regarding like environmental impact studies, water permitting, as I said, conversion from agricultural and forestry land into construction land, contracts for leasing of land, or also getting permits for other construction objects which are not mining structures, and for developing local roads, which you may need also for your projects. We can work with you also on developing spatial plans, which you will definitely need for opening a mine. For opening a mine, typically so-called special purpose spatial plans are developed for the particular projects, which basically integrate all the planning elements into one major document, which solves all your needs in a single document. We also do the drafting, negotiating and closing of all agreements that you need in your business, from simple labor law agreements to drilling agreements with your contractors, laboratory services. We can do earn-in agreements, the typical mining, exploration, mining agreements, earn-in agreements, share of output agreements, transfer of interest agreements, and other typical agreements applied in the mining industry. We do transactions regarding buying land and buildings, and we do it routinely. As I said, we can discuss and assist you in maybe obtaining stability agreements with the state. And once again, I repeat, we do this with the highest principles of integrity every time. It is also important to know that we have a very good network of law firms which are specialized in mining, and we typically coordinate work with them for our clients. So if you need possibly to work in several jurisdictions, we'll be happy to assist you and coordinate your legal work for the whole region. To give some persuasion to what I just said, this is a list of our clients which have been accumulated, which we have served very carefully and with respect for many years back, 20 years back. And as you see, some of the largest international multinational corporations have been our clients, and we were all very happy, both the clients and ourselves. And our principle has always been that our mission is really to make your investments succeed in Serbia and the region. So I want, with this mission statement, that we really are eager to make your investment succeed, and we're capable of making you successful in this part of the world. We want warmly to thank you for your attention, and if you want to contact us, you have my phone number, you have my email below, and thank you for your attention. I will be glad to receive your questions, whatever you have to ask. Thank you once again for your patience.